Little fall start to the show right there. Grant Cohn here, Sybilla Bakzaza. Going to be previewing the Niners' next game. But before we do, let's wrap up the last game. It's only Wednesday. You haven't had your say on it yet. It was a dramatic victory. The Niners, in heroic fashion, drove down the field. It was like Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. That's all I remember. But there was a lot of other stuff that happened in the game. What was your takeaway, Sybilla?
So the first thing is I don't think the 49ers could have gotten off to a worse start. That was a horrible opening drive. I don't feel they set the tone very early in the game, and when they finally got points on the board, they did not continue that momentum. Talking about putting your opponents away, the 49ers let them hang around, and the Bengals gave them... Honestly, I'm surprised the 49ers did not hang 35 points on their head, because how many turnovers and fumbles and miscues do you need in addition to what you naturally gain as an offense to put points on the board? So I really feel it's not a great game. I respect the grit and some of the individual performances by 49ers, people like Nick Bosa, for instance. But when it comes to the team, we just got away with this. The Bengals beat themselves. We didn't beat them.
No. And it's like, I guess when the game comes down to the very end, you tend to just edit out the rest of the game. But the Bengals beat themselves in the first half. When you go back through that game, I mean, the two muff punts, you could give Mitch Wishnowsky credit for kicking a knuckleball or something, but really catch the ball, man. You're a professional punt returner, not just once, but twice in your home field. And then on top of it, they could have held the 49ers to a field goal at the end of the first half, but the taunting penalty gave them the touchdown.
That was so stupid. Yeah,
that was the game. That was the game. When you look at how close it was.
There would have been no overtime if they had just played smart football. Really not impressive with the coaching over there, to be honest with you. They seemed very undisciplined, very unprepared, but very talented. They have a great pass rush duo, which wreaked havoc on the 49ers offensive line. There were so many opportunities for the Bengals to put that game away, and they didn't. I've never seen a team not finish quite like that.
Yeah, that's why I still don't look at the Niners as like a proven Super Bowl contender, even though they have, they went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. This year, what's their best win? What is it? Still the Rams. And they've beaten the Rams 5 times in a row. Like, beating the Rams doesn't necessarily indicate the Niners are the truth. Like, they're beating the Vikings. They're not. They're under 500, aren't they? How many teams that are over 500 have the 49ers beat?
Exactly.
2.
And they lost to some bad teams as well. That's something to be
they
marked.
Lost the Seahawks twice.
The Rams,
yeah,
they always beat the Rams, just like the Seahawks always beat the Niners. It's the same thing.
But I mean, they lost to the Packers. They lost to the Cardinals. They lost to the Colts. Yeah. So.
Well, the Packers are up there, but that was a terrible game. That's for certain.
What'd you see in the secondary? You're a secondary expert.
All right,
little echo.
Little echo? Okay, let's turn that down. Okay, so let's go with Ambry Thomas first, because I know he's kind of the focal point of interest, especially when it comes to me. So, did you catch Kyle Shanahan's reaction to Ambry Thomas?
Yeah, very positive.
And I respect that because it's a high ego position. Cornerbacks have to have the shortest memory in the NFL. Maybe quarterbacks as well. You make a bad pass, throw a pick, you have to move on.
When he was doing that for Ambry Thomas, I was thinking like, yeah, man, can't you do this for your quarterbacks too? Like, this is exactly how you should talk about your quarterbacks right there. Like, because I don't believe a word he said about Ambry Thomas personally, and I don't know if maybe he believed half of what he said, but he did. That's what you do. That's leadership. I loved it.
Exactly, and it was leadership, so I was really impressed with that. But onto the skill and the technical parts of Ambry Thomas. I think it was Kyle Posey wrote a really good article breaking down Ambry Thomas, and I agreed with everything he said. But the two things I want to hit on are why the illegal hands to the face, the contact inside of 5 yards occurred. There's a zone that obviously everyone knows. You cannot focus from here up, basically. Don't go for the top of the shoulder pads because just the impact of the receiver, your hands will travel. So he had what I like to call traveling hands. It wasn't that he went straight for the face. It's that he took an up angle. And with his power, and I'm always talking about Ambry Thomas' physical strength in his pectoralis region, I feel like he just got himself into trouble. But I don't necessarily think he played that poorly. I think these are correctable things. So the illegal hands to the face wiped a sack off the board for Nick Bosa. really frustrating. Erased the interception, also really frustrating. But there was actually a coverage, I think it was of T. Higgins, where Ambry Thomas was in perfect position. And when Burrows went to look at Higgins, he had to look him off. He had to go to his next read, and that's when Nick Bosa immediately sacked him. So he took one away, but he gave one back. If you erase his 2 penalties, his game looks a whole lot better. The big third down conversion, as Posey pointed out, to T. Higgins, he was in perfect trail coverage. Sometimes you just get a great pass. It's like that pass to George Kittle where he climbed the ladder to go up and get it. Sometimes it's not about bad defense, it's about good offense. And a good offense will beat good defense every single day of the week because it's easier to run than it is to chase. Mm-hmm. So Ambry Thomas did to me, and his attitude, he didn't seem shell-shocked like he was getting shellacked out there. His numbers don't look good, but his techniques, they're really correctable. Number one thing I would say to him is that he's going to have to learn to be confident in his initial reads. So he will backpedal at the right moments. He will get his head turned around and start going or trailing with the receiver, and then he'll try to keep himself honest by looking back. As soon as he looks back, he slows himself down. And when that happens, Joe Burrows and Chase and Higgins, that's a really good pass-happy offense they have there. So this might be the worst situation he's going to see for a couple of games. The Falcons game, he should absolutely feast.
Yeah, I mean,
that's to me.
Anyone he has to face. There's no one on Atlanta. They don't have any wide receiver. Someone Gage. Who are their wide receivers? I don't know.
I actually don't know.
Cordell Patterson, their running back.
Right.
Well, I mean, let me tell you real quick. My what I saw Ambry Thomas from Cincinnati. Look, I haven't watched the defensive tape, but just being there, I felt that all of Cincinnati's big plays came on his side. And although he only gave up 1 touchdown, the out and up, he was like a blade of grass from giving up a second that got called back to Jamar Chase. And I know Jamar Chase is super duper fast, but compared to him, he looked kind of slow to me. And I know Ambry Thomas ran a 4.3 as well, but Chase has a real 4.3, and Thomas, I just didn't see that. I don't know. I mean, I guess you don't want to write him off because of that. And I understand people being like, hey, like, it's not as bad as it seemed. You know, it was his first start. I'm going to need to see a lot more from Ambry Thomas. I don't know.
Oh, we absolutely have to see more. When it comes to his speed, 4.3 speed as a defensive back, unless you're really good, turns into 4.5 or 4.6. That's the game speed. And the reason for that, you're sitting there, whether you're doing press coverage, zone coverage, whatever, and they know their routes. You might know their routes. You might be guessing at their routes. They might post on you. They might fade on you. They might take an inside, outside, whatever. You're having to react. And every reaction that you make, it slows you down. So that's where Ambry Thomas, like I said, I feel like the mechanics. Here's the thing. If he doesn't clean these mechanics up, he's a bad corner. Or he's not a good student, one of the two. But I think it's so glaringly obvious what he can clean up that I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue if he gets more reps. I have a little confidence in him.
Let me ask you a question. Here's again how I saw it from Cincinnati. D'Amico was putting him in some tough positions. They had him playing way off. A lot of the like way off. And he was giving up some like easy stuff underneath because I think they were so afraid of giving up the big play. It seems to me that now when he did press, he committed 2 penalties, but that's how he wants to play. He was press man corner at Michigan. So when asked how he sees himself, he said, Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard. That's how he wants to play. Can he do that? Does he have the athleticism to pull that off? That's my question, because I think that's how he's going to have to play, like not an off corner, a press man corner. I don't know. Is he talented enough to do that?
I will get back to you on the physical specs of people like Ramsey. And let's find out just how much stronger or that he is. But I want to say at first glance, he's absolutely athletic enough to play like them. Skilled enough? I think the raw skills are there, but there's a huge difference between 3rd round raw skill and 1st round ready to go talent. So I think that's where I am on Ambry Thomas. I think that you're going to have games like that. I think you make a really good point. D'Amico Ryans put him in a position that he is not comfortable playing, and if that's where they want him, they should never have drafted him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching from the press box like, whoa, that is quite a cushion, D'Amico. Are you kidding?
Well, what's interesting, did you notice how like on several of the plays, he shows man and then backed into zone? Did you see that? Yeah. And I remember I was like, all right, here we go, man. And then I'd be like, oh my gosh, the cushion. Right. Yeah. The cushion that he was being told to give, I was just like, oh no, because remember what I always say, he gets burned over the top. And see what DeMeco Ryans is trying to do, I feel, is mask his backfield weakness. Because he gets burned deep, because he gets burned on routes that go by him, they were giving him that buffer. But here's the thing with Ambry Thomas. His instinct was still to go slow and not begin his backpedal early enough in that zone coverage. So in other words, he was playing man coverage 10 yards deep. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And I think that's a mistake. And I think it's not just on him. I think it's on his backs coach. And I think also on DeMeco Ryans. Good points to make.
The one thing I saw, last thing that I saw from the press box, it seemed like early in the game, the Niners were playing a lot of two high safeties. And what the Bengals were trying to do was to run the ball with Joe Mixon. And what the Niners were able to do was stop the run with the front seven, without a safety down there. And yeah, that's why Aziz is so valuable right now. I mean, they're doing a really good job against the run without involving their safeties. And as soon as Aziz went down early in the third quarter, the whole offense opened up for Cincinnati. So it seems like they were able to protect Ambry early in the game, and then they weren't later on. So it'll be interesting to see if Aziz, he didn't practice today, what the loss of him could do for the Niners' ability to protect Ambry with Jaquiski Tartt.
Absolutely enormous, because I think, again, Alshire also releases Fred Warner to play his high-speed sideline-to-sideline game. Basically, Fred Warner, I don't think he will get frozen in the middle as much when he has somebody like Aziz there. They are so complementary. So it's not just the loss, it's the tandem.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a couple questions. Jody says there's an article out today, and also Good Morning Football, saying that 49ers is not someone you want to play in January. Do you disagree?
Healthy 49ers.
Healthy 49ers.
I mean, I don't disagree, but this has been, I think, our argument since preseason. That's basically, can the Niners stay healthy? I mean, healthy 49ers includes Jason Verrett and Raheem Mostert, and it includes Dee Ford. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Elijah Mitchell, you could throw him in there. So the Niners are victims of their own health. Absolutely.
I think they have a lot more to prove. Every time they win a game, people say this, but then they're 7-6. I mean, they just lost to the Seahawks. So I'd like to see the Niners. I know they had that 3-game winning streak, but I don't know. I mean, they're 2-4 at home. They just don't seem consistent enough. What they do is they beat themselves pretty frequently, and they can do it against anyone. They could do it this week against Atlanta. So, I mean, they're talented enough. I mean, in any playoff matchup, even though they'll be a wild card team, they're talented enough to stack up. But I don't know. I mean, they lose. Sorry, I almost dropped something. They beat themselves. That's how they lose. So I don't know.
Yeah, the Niners are talented enough to beat anyone. I feel they are talented enough to go to the Super Bowl, but I don't know if they're disciplined enough. And right. I mean, you don't know who you're getting today. They can beat the best team in the league, and they can lose to the worst.
That's what I'm saying.
Bipolar team.
Good call. I mean, they've lost to Colt McCoy once and the Seahawks twice this year. I mean, what?
Yeah, and they absolutely manhandled the Rams. They should have beaten the Packers. So it blows your mind. Those 3 games are great sample sizes. They really are. And this Bengals game, I think, is a great sampler as well, because the Niners did not do enough. I mean, they did enough to win, but the Bengals did a lot more to lose.
Moonman says, "Yo, Grant,
the Bengals game, because I don't take a lot of positive from it."
You think we need to see more of the deep ball going into the playoffs because good teams make big plays? Jimmy Jitters is trying, though. You saw what happened when he tried to throw the deep ball to Travis Benjamin. He couldn't throw the ball far enough. He just couldn't throw the ball far enough.
Yeah, because Benjamin basically had to stop like a post out there and wait for it to come to him, and suddenly he was playing center field. And they looked
that ball needed to go 60, 65 yards in the air, and he just couldn't. He took 3 hitches and threw it as far as he could, and he just couldn't get there. Sorry.
Also, the thing about the deep ball as well is Jimmy's not good at it. So, no, I don't think we need to. Again, it's the run game with a very short-range West Coast style of offense. That's the only way for them to win.
Yeah. Jody says, "Hey, thanks, Jody. I'm on a play Trey Lance now bandwagon." Yeah, me too. Wait. With that said, do you both honestly think we would be going to the playoffs this year if we had started him? If we get past Arizona, we see Tampa. Does he beat Brady?
Great question.
You can't
Very
expect
deep question.
Can't expect him to beat Brady.
This is kind of like again, I'm an Oakland A's fan, and we are a team that is rigged for the regular season, because in a series, over the course of several series, based on how the starters rotate, in this case, Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance, we can win. But then when we get to our Justin Verlanders and Mad Max and things like that, in other words, Tom Brady, We don't. We get hosed in as a playoff team. So the question is, I think Brady would beat Lance. I absolutely do. I think the stage would be too big for Trey Lance. So it would be about winning in the regular season. Jimmy Garoppolo, he has a really thick skin. That's the best thing about him. And it's a hell of a Band-Aid. But then Trey Lance, they say ignorance is a bliss. So who knows? Maybe he goes in there and has a little bit of blissful ignorance and doesn't see Tom Brady as a god of football.
Look, I understand Niner fans are really excited about the playoffs this year because it's like only 4 playoff seasons since 2003. And there's a kind of a, make the playoffs and see what happens feeling around here. And that's wonderful. That's what fans should think. But I just feel like the Niners are not currently in a Super Bowl window right now. I think it closed when they lost the Super Bowl. They don't think so. And I think that once they traded for Trey Lance, they opened up another one. And it wasn't going to be his first year starting, although there have been few. It was going to be the second or the third. And they're just delaying that. That's why I keep whining and complaining about this, because I feel like they're just, okay, great. Playoff run feels great. And, even if it's a wild card run, it feels great as a fan. But what are you setting yourself up for this year, next year? I don't see it.
That's why I have been harping on the fact that we should play our rookies, and that's why I really love seeing Ambry Thomas out there, because again, I mean, if we get to the playoffs this year, yeah, we could go to the Super Bowl. It's true. We're better on the road, I feel. I really feel like just being at home does not help us. But again, I think our Super Bowl window is 2 years from now. I don't even think it's next year. I think next year is getting the squad together, getting the cohesion, getting Trey Lance the reps, I hope. Let's hope. And then moving on to the third year. That's really where I am with that.
What do the Niners or Cowboys have to do to face off? I don't think the Niners are going to – they're probably not going to get the 5th seed. They most likely have to hope the Cowboys leapfrog their way up. So I don't know. It's a tough one. All right, let's move on. The Niners have an offensive coach, but they spend a lot of draft capital and free agent capital on defense. I mean, they traded for Javon Kinlaw. They gave a ton of money to Eric Armstead, first-round pick on Nick. I mean, they're very much a defensive-first franchise when they're acquiring players. What do you think of that?
I love defense, and I would prefer to win with a defense than an offense. I just think there is a great statement that you are the superior team. You have the more manly men if you can just shut them down with defense. I love that. Mm-hmm. But we have Kyle Shanahan as a head coach, and I always found it just a little bit ironic that there was first-round investment on the defensive line before and during his tenure, but that there was so much focus on defense, which is great. I love that, except they have not really invested and they are in the places they should, cornerback, and they also have had some major draft whiffs on defense. I find it very strange that a guy who can wipe 12 minutes off the clock with a drive, easily 9 minutes. The 49ers, honestly, they should be able to go out there and say, 7 minutes of this quarter, first drive is ours. Mm-hmm. Do that 4 times a game, then there you go. And you get a couple of 3-and-outs from your defense, which the Niners defensive line and linebackers get them. And suddenly it doesn't matter if you're Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. You don't have the time. So it's always surprised me that the 49ers have not gotten by on almost a bare bones defense and focused more on the offense, because when we win by dominating the offensive side of the football, not just in points, but in time. And with a run-first team, it astounds me the lack of investment on the offensive line. Trent Williams, that's it. Everyone else is not an investment. It's either a loss or a draft bust. Tomlinson has had a decent season, especially on paper. I know that. But at the same time, it's just he's somebody else's. He came from the Lions, as I recall. He's a cast-off from someone else. They're not building their offense themselves. That's my point. Yeah. And I find that strange. I think the 49ers should realize, I know we love our defense, and we're so proud of Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman and Deshaun Golson and all those old names. That's not who we are anymore. And I want to liken this to a team that rocked our world in the Super Bowl, and that's the Chiefs. The Chiefs' defense is very up and down. There are times where they're in the lower part of the league. If you look at their defense, they are Honey Badger and Chris Jones. To me, that's the end of the list. Kind of like, for instance, we have Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. We have a very similar style defense to them as far as like big names and a bunch of cast-offs and no ones. Sorensen's a horrible player. We have a couple of those.
Here's the Niners' problem on defense, though. I'm with you. You really just need a tandem. Like that's what the Rams have, right? Hold on. Turn me down just a little bit. Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. The Niners, it should have been Nick Bosa and DeForest Buckner. It should have been Nick Bosa and DeForest Buckner. Fred Warner, he's not even the best linebacker on the team anymore. Eric Armstead, I mean, he's not even the second best defensive lineman on the team. Jimmy Ward, good player, but not DeForest Buckner. Those were the two. You would have had your Jalen, you would have had your Hall of Fame duo. But no. But you're right. You just need two.
I just feel like the 49ers should start realizing where their strengths are. And especially with Kyle Shanahan as a coach, give him more toys. He has a lot of weapons, don't get me wrong. It's worked out well between Kittle and Debo and Ayuk and hopefully Trey Lance in the future. But if we get like a good right tackle, a good right guard, this offense would be indomitable. It would absolutely be the strongest offense in the league. And I think it would be one of the best we've ever seen.
George Kittle caught the ball 15 times after the game. He said he was extremely sore. He was like limping up to the podium. He said it's, playing on that turf was like playing on concrete, whatever. He's been kind of limping around all season, although he's having a great year. And it seemed like the Niners were trying to preserve him for a stretch run. Now it's a stretch run and there's no more preservation. 15 targets last week. He carried him to victory. How do the Niners keep him healthy while also allowing him to bring them where they need to go?
I think it has to be situational football. I think like with Deebo Samuel, Elijah Mitchell, they have to realize if they're blowing the other team out of the water, rotate him, pull him out of the game. I think they have to be very humble with their approach. I think they need to do just enough with the rotation of Samuel and Kittle to win the game. Simple as that. I don't think 15 targets against the Falcons will be necessary. So I don't want to see them. I don't think Deebo Samuel carrying the football 7-8 times behind the line of scrimmage against the Falcons is necessary to beat them. So don't do it.
Right.
So I think that's the thing. It's situational football. There will be times where they're going to have to go to Kittle and say, we need you to put your body on the line because if we don't score on this drive, this game is over. There are times where you need your guys to step up, but they have to realize that's not all the time. So I think snap count is really key. If you get out with a huge lead, it's the same argument that we make. Why even play Jimmy Garoppolo? Because we are talking about managing the injuries of George Kittle and Deebo Samuel. What about Jimmy Garoppolo? He took a pounding in that Bengals game. So to me, in order to keep this whole team going, I think there needs to be risk management, essentially.
Agree. And if Kittle gets hurt, the season's over. They need this trio. That echo keeps coming back. I'm sorry. It keeps coming and going. But it's really loud right now.
I don't understand why. Let's try this. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, it's better. It's better.
Okay, let's do this.
Okay, that's cool. Anyway, good luck, George. Good luck, Niners. Let's talk Dee Ford. It sounds like he's contemplating retirement. That's what Kyle Shanahan said. Seems like he's been doing everything he can to try to play, but I don't know. There's no surgery he can have. It's just rest at this point. Assuming he retires, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so initially it's people were reporting that he was saying goodbye to the team, but as it turns out, he was just saying goodbye to the boys because, he knows his season is over. Yeah. I really feel for the guy first and foremost. He doesn't want this to happen, obviously. I think there comes a limit at which he has to be realistic. And I don't want to say he's made of glass. That's not what I'm implying. I just want to make the point that he spends so much time on the sidelines or in rehab. I've never really seen a football player have this many setbacks. Can you think of one who has had more setbacks or as many setbacks as this and come back and had any kind of career?
No.
Exactly. So I honestly,
really serious.
I feel like...
I mean, it's his spine.
I'm sorry?
It's really serious. It's his spine.
Right, exactly.
Have chronic pain the rest of his life. I mean, he currently has made $65 million in his career. I mean, all the money in the world won't mean anything if he's in constant pain. So he's got to think.
I think at this point he needs to buy some Bitcoin and call it a career.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that. I like him. I love his style. I love the way he took Nick Bosa under his wing. He seems like a really good team player. I know people really like him. He has a great locker room presence when he's there. But it's
Mhm.
just at this point, I think it's over.
Yeah.
And I'm not a doubter. It's not that. I know there are people out there that could come back from this. Maybe he's one of those guys. But I think you make a really good point. It's his spine. And I mean, at what point do you want to risk being in a wheelchair the rest of your life? And hey, if he wants to risk that, I respect that. I do. I understand that, especially someone who was in the military. I know what it's like to give your all and run with blood gushing out of your leg. I understand that. And even though it's stupid to do that, you just don't want to lose your opportunity in life. I understand that drive, and I do respect that. So if it's something that with his family, with his doctor, he wants to talk about, and if they come to the decision that they should still try, then good luck to him. But I think realistically, as far as the team goes, they have invested so much in nothing here. And I think the Niners are being put in the position of having to make a football business decision and look very cold-hearted, but it's not, because at the same time, it's just so much money on the sideline. I think they're going to have to cut him with an injury settlement.
Yeah, I think so too. Probably.
And that's heartbreaking. I don't like that, but I will not decry the 49ers for doing that, because we are here to win a Super Bowl. This is not a charity.
No.
How's the echo, by the way?
It's better. It's gone. Let's talk about this Falcons game coming up. The Niners should win this game, but that's always, and I feel like every time the Niners are in a position where the whole world is picking them to win is when they disappoint you. They're good at when people question them, say they're not the real deal, then they usually rise up. But this is the week at home, 2-4, going against a quarterback that's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, the Niners should win this game, but I don't know. I feel like I've seen this play before. I don't know. What are you expecting from this game?
They need to pound the football. I really think that this game, the Falcons defense, that it's a very young team. Kyle Shanahan is a wizard. I feel like Kyle Shanahan has got to just outsmart them. Take advantage of their youth, essentially. Take advantage of their lack of discipline, their inability to stop their run. Hit them where they are weak. And I think that's the key to win this game. I think the 49ers defense will be just fine.
Yeah.
Yes, Ambry Thomas will be targeted. Yes, he will give up a touchdown. Josh Norman will definitely get a holding call. But at the same time, the 49ers defensive front should be able to wreak havoc on Matt Ryan, who's not a mobile quarterback.
Good call. I mean,
so there's the defensive side of things. Keep it simple. DeMeco Ryans, just keep pressure, flood the box. Matt Ryan's a smart guy. You don't need to give him time. On the offensive side of the ball, command the football. Just keep the ball in the offense's hands with some kind of run game, I hope. And I think they will be fine.
In Cincinnati, watching Joe Burrow, I was thinking, young Matt Ryan right here. Good player.
He is. Burrows,
but they sacked him 5 times.
More,
they sacked him 5 times. Like, the Niners should be able to handle Matt Ryan as well. Sack him.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I really think this is a simple game plan. And I think Kyle Shanahan just needs to keep people on a snap count, keep people fresh, keep pressure from DeMeco Ryans, keep the ball in the backfield, the running back's hands, have Jimmy Garoppolo dice up on 3rd and 5, their midfield defenders, their linebackers, their safeties with George Kittle. I'd like to see a little Ross Dwelly in there, literally just to take some hits.
Please.
It's just a matter, I think, of looking at this game as what it is and just taking advantage of them. This is not a great squad we are going against.
I got a bonus topic. Week 18. I know we're looking far ahead, but you're gonna like this. So it seems to me the Niners just have to win their remaining home games this week against Atlanta, 2 weeks in the future against Houston. That's 9 wins. You should make it in the playoffs. Here's a possibility. Week 18, the Niners have clinched a playoff spot, but it hasn't been determined whether they're going to be the 5th seed, 6th seed, or 7th seed. They could say, you know what? There's no difference whether we play Green Bay or Tampa.
I like your thinking. Bench
it's all the same. It doesn't matter. So rather than play this game, like, let's rest our starters. Let's rest our starters, give Jimmy, Kittle, Debo, everyone a bye week, and start Trey Lance. Now, I know this sounds crazy, but it's exactly what the Chiefs did. And the Niners have been saying on the record, off the record for all year, we're trying to follow the Chiefs. Okay, well, what the Chiefs did was they sat their starters week 17, started Patrick Mahomes, went to the playoffs, lost first round, gave the team to Mahomes the year after that. I'm just saying, if there's I don't think there's a difference between 5th seed and 7th seed. All those division winners are good. The Niners' best move might be sitting your starters week 18. What do you think?
Yeah, because the odds of seeds 1 through 4 being eliminated are minimal, and then the fact that the first seed gets a bye makes it even more improbable. So you're probably going to be on the road the whole way. It definitely makes a lot of sense to me, because you would need the lowest seeds to carve up the top seeds, and that just doesn't usually happen.
No.
I can't think of the last time that did happen. Maybe someone can, but yeah, here's the only thing. Being here in Baltimore, the last thing you want to give Lamar Jackson is a bye. He stinks. There's no other way to put it after a bye. And in fact, he even told his coach, do not, the second year, because remember the first year they gave him a bye, he came out and laid an egg. There's no other way to say it. Second year, they gave him a bye, and he actually spent all 2 weeks throwing the ball every single day, came out, stunk.
Yeah.
And that was the year the Ravens should have won the Super Bowl. And they are good at keeping their window open, but that's what I fear. Is Jimmy Garoppolo disciplined enough?
Yeah.
To be able to keep the momentum with a bye of sorts. That's my only concern. I also seen the Rams do the same thing. Doesn't work. So that's my concern is the 49ers. Now, George Kittle, yeah, you can give him a bye, no problem. Deebo Samuel, same thing. Nick Bosa, yes. Fred Warner, yes. I think Jimmy Garoppolo needs to play a quarter or something, almost like a preseason game, at least.
But it's a great opportunity to get Trey Lance a start. It's exactly what the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes. And I mean, like, if a home game were at stake, if it was like, hey, if the Niners win this game, they win a division. Otherwise, they're a wild card team. Then, of course, play Week 18. But if you're going to have a road playoff game one way or another, I don't see the difference. And I think there's more to be gained from just resting your starters. Anyway, something to look forward to if you're holding out hope for a Trey Lance start. Could happen Week 18. And the Niners have to clinch beforehand. Obviously, they wouldn't do it if they hadn't clinched beforehand. So
I just don't see that situation coming to pass. So I think it's as simple as it's as long as they feel that they are disciplined enough to go into the postseason. One of the ways to buy yourself your own bye is what you're saying.
Yeah.
When you have people like Nick Bosa and George Kittle and Deebo Samuel, Elijah Mitchell that need a little rest, that's the game to do it. So I agree to that extent. Yes.
You got to remember too that the Niners haven't had they had their bye week 6, which was mid-October, early October. So for them to go on a real Super Bowl run, it's like 16, 17 games in a row. They could use a bye week. Just saying. If it presents
bearing that in mind, I had not considered that. Bearing that in mind, you have an even stronger case.
Yeah.
That it's medical at this point, essentially.
Yeah. Medical. All right. Yeah. Final topic. So Jaquaski Tarte says, I need therapy. He was on Twitter today interacting with his fans, and someone said, what do you think of Grant Cohn? And he said, he needs therapy, smiley face. You know what? He's probably right. My wife's a therapist, and it seems like everyone benefits from therapy, but I've never had therapy, and I talk to myself a lot. I was riding elevators in Cincinnati, running into Niners. I do some strange stuff. I appreciate him. I appreciate his concern and his concern for my well-being. I'd like to send it right back to him. And it seems to me that Jaquaski Tart's going through some tough times right now. Like, he's losing snaps at Talanoa Hufanga. That's probably got to be weighing on him at this point. You know, I mean, to me, I've always looked at Jaquaski Tarte as a good guy, but probably the most insecure player on the team. I mean, it's well known that he's in the DMs of fans all over Twitter. I mean, if you say something nice about Jaquaski Tarte on Twitter, you'll probably be DMing him within a few hours because he just really loves praise and doesn't really do well with criticism. So I think I need therapy. Jaquaski, how about the two of us? Group therapy. I think because my wife does group therapy, and it seems like that actually, there's a lot of use for that. So I think the two of us, you and I, could get a lot out of it. What do you say? I extend it to you. What do you think?
I was surprised that he said that at first because, you have a good rapport with Jimmy Ward. And so, the two of them are friends. And so I was surprised at that. I feel like Jimmy Ward is probably in the background going, he's got those great reactions. I would love to know what Jimmy Ward thinks about this. Jimmy, what do you think? As for Jaquaski,
here's the thing. Jimmy and Jaquaski are very similar, but Jimmy Ward is the most confident player on the team. Jaquaski is the most insecure player on the team. So they're kind of on opposite
I think that Jimmy Ward actually should have a talk with Jaquaski because, he kind of went through these down years where everyone overlooked him. There were times where Jimmy Ward was a top 5 safety, but no one knew his name. And
Right.
it's and he's had to battle back against the fan base, against analysts left and right. I think he should go to and be like, Mr. Tarte, it's okay. Get
But
these,
Ward has had the
these people
triumphant
don't
ending
need
to
you.
his career.
We haven't been too critical of Tarte. Actually, to be honest with you, between the two of us, I am far more critical of Tarte. I've always been critical of him.
But Ward is someone who's fueled by criticism. I think Tarte is someone who's fueled by praise. That's probably
Ward can jaw. That's the thing. Ward's a real safety. He knows how to jaw back and forth.
Right.
He knows when he's screwed up, but he knows how to kind of play the big man, basically, like him and DeAndre Hopkins. When he knows he's beat, Jimmy Ward's humble. When he's amped up, I love it. But Jaquiski, as far as needing therapy, first off, I'm going to say this. That's not appropriate, and this is why. Therapy is for everyone, first off.
Yeah.
Admirals in the fleets, George Patton, doesn't matter who you are, Achilles himself, whether you're Jerry Rice, whether you're Steve Young, everyone needs someone to talk to. So to ridicule someone by saying you need therapy, that's not cool. There are a lot of great people out there who are in therapy. There are people who need therapy. And honestly, if you think you can get through life without talking to someone, you're an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
And I fear the person who does not work on themselves versus the person who is in therapy to improve themselves. Because let me say this.
That's why I'm inviting Jaquiski. I agree. I think I would love to. It's very expensive if you ever try to get therapy. It's a luxury for usually the richest people in the world. Jaquiski could definitely afford it. I think he could get me on a group rate and we could make something happen.
Well, let me tell you this. I'm not sure, but I think I have more followers than Jaquiski if you include my other platforms. And if he wasn't on national TV, I could definitely say I'm more famous than him. And even still, my point being is that let me put myself out there. The more famous I get, the more remiss I would be to not manage my own ego. And the reason I say that is because we are all humans, first off. I'm not better than the people watching this show. I'm not better than any other 49ers fan or player. I need to remember that. Sometimes you need to be checked. Sometimes you get under so much fire. And Jaquiski, I understand it. I'm trans and I'm North African in your arena. I understand what it's like to get garbage from the fan base. Most of the fans are great, and I would encourage him to remember that. Don't let what the minority of fans do to you get to you. And when it comes to Grant, when it comes to Vish and all the other analysts and Jesse and Jason, these guys are just analyzing this team for the betterment of the sport. It's not personal. Your coaches probably say worse to you than Grant ever will, I would have to say. So I'm a little disappointed that he said that.
But again, I understand where he's coming from. Like, they're pushing him out. Jimmy Ward is very confident. He got a 30 million.
You're not pushing him out. They are pushing him out. So taking a shot at you, maybe that's a prelude to taking a shot at D'Amico Ryans. Who knows? But Tarte, just do the best you can. Seriously, I mean, your fate is in your hands alone, or in Talanoa. I don't know, but.
No, but I sympathize with Jaquiski. Like, Jimmy Ward's a very confident person, but they rewarded him. They tried to replace him with Adrian Colbert. Jimmy Ward won that battle. His story is a happy ending. The Jaquiski Tarte story in terms of football does not have a happy ending. It has a bitter ending. The ending is the Niners draft a guy that he probably never heard of from USC in the 5th round that he probably didn't think anything of, and now that guy's taking your job. And now he's on Twitter thanking people who give him credit. So that's a pretty bitter ending. So I feel for Jaquiski, man. That's a tough.
I do like the fact that he reaches out to the fan base, because one thing I am not known for is I try to respond to every comment on my platforms. I did it literally on a Wednesday. I would sit down for an hour, and that's my job for 1 hour, is to get back to everyone. So I do like that. But it's interesting what you note that he's never done it before. I've done this since day one. The reason I'm inspired to do this is because I got an autograph snub from Ricky Henderson. And I'll never forget what that feels like as a fan. It sucks when your icon looks the other way and ignores you. So that's what drives me to reach out to people. So if Tarte wants to do this now, hey, do that for the right reasons, I hope. But maybe you're right. By the way, I have to say, you're very masterful at passively hanging him out there.
I think it was a very generous suggestion from Tarte, and I'd like to just send it right back his direction, man. Thank you. I
understand. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm just saying, it's so masterful how you really sunk him on that. I have to award the round to you. Ding, ding.
Well, he brought up the subject, and I thought it was just fantastic. And I thought, maybe he should think about it too. So, Jaquiski.
You know what? Maybe it's your fault. You never had him on here.
Hey, let's do it. We can have the therapy set. My wife can lead it. The two of us can say, how did it make you feel when Grant Cohn tweeted that? Well, I didn't like it. Well, Grant, how did it make you feel? Well, I understand. I think we can get somewhere. And so when they take you out and put Talanoa Hufanga in mid drive, how does that make you feel? I think that's a good question.
I think it's a great question for football. I don't know about therapy though. I think it's inflammatory, and I think Tarte might feel a little bit wounded over that.
You're right. See, that's why I'm not a therapist. I am a shit disturber. Okay, thank you very much. I'm just kidding.
If you want a group therapy session, I have to come as a mediator. Just saying.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'll bring gloves.
I like it. The more the merrier.
All right, let's go.
That's our show, everyone. Thank you for watching. I think it got very productive at the end, and I enjoyed it. Sybil,
absolutely. Especially at the end, right?
Especially at the end. Thank you very much, everyone.